They said I was unconscious. They said I couldn't hear anything. But I did. I heard everything. The beeping machines, the doctors, and her. My wife. Sitting right beside me. Whispering things she thought I'd never hear. But I did. Every word. Every truth she tried to bury. And that's when it hit me. She never loved me. Not really. Not the way I loved her. Not even close. They told my family I was in a coma. No awareness. No pain. No memory. But what no one understood was that my mind was still alive. Trapped. Fully conscious inside a body that refused to move. I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't twitch a finger. But I could hear. I could feel. And most of all, I could remember. At first, I thought I was dreaming. I heard faint voices, hospital sounds, whispers that drifted in and out like waves. My wife's voice was the one that came through the clearest. I still remember the first thing she said to me, while I lay there, silent and still. "Hey, it's me. I don't know if you can hear me, but please wake up. Please." It sounded like love. It felt like love. I wanted to reach out, to squeeze her hand, to let her know I was there. But my body betrayed me. She visited every day. At least in the beginning. She would sit by my bed, talk about the kids, tell me about what the doctors were saying. Sometimes she'd play soft music, hum along, even cry. And I held on to that. It gave me hope. But then, something changed. She stopped talking to me like I was still me. Her words turned into sighs. Long, heavy sighs. And then came the whispers. I don't know why she started whispering. Maybe she thought no one else could hear. Maybe she thought I was completely gone. But I was there. Listening. One night I heard her whisper, "I don't know if I want you to wake up anymore." My heart froze. I thought I had imagined it. But then she said more. "It's been so peaceful without the fights. Without the weight of pretending. I'm tired. So tired of this marriage." I tried to scream inside my mind. "What are you saying?" But she just kept talking. "I know this is awful. I hate myself for thinking this. But part of me feels free." That word. Free. As if my absence was a blessing. As if my pain had given her relief. The next day she came again. She didn't hold my hand this time. She whispered, "Mark came by today. He said I shouldn't keep torturing myself. That I've done enough." Mark. My best friend. The man I trusted more than anyone outside of my family. At first, I thought she meant he was just being supportive. But then she said, "He says I deserve happiness." That maybe this was meant to happen. I felt my stomach twist. Even though I couldn't move, my body felt heavy with betrayal. "I don't know what I feel anymore," she whispered. "But with him, I don't have to pretend. With him, I feel alive." It was like hearing a love letter meant for someone else, read aloud at my funeral. I lay there, day after day, listening to the woman I thought was my soulmate. Slowly admit that I no longer fit into her picture of happiness. She talked about the insurance money. About the house. About how she didn't want to raise the kids alone, but maybe Mark could help. She cried too. But not for me. She cried for the guilt she felt about moving on. About not being sure if she wanted me to recover. I wanted to hate her. But I couldn't. Because I remembered our life together. Our first kiss. Our wedding day. The way she looked at me the day our daughter was born. Was it all fake? Or had something changed in her when I got sick? Was she just scared? Or was this who she really was all along? I began to question everything. I began to feel like dying would be easier than waking up to this reality. But then, everything changed. It was a quiet afternoon. I heard the door open. Small footsteps. Then a gentle voice. "Daddy?" It was my daughter. She climbed into the hospital bed beside me. Her tiny fingers touched my arm. "I brought you my blanket. Mommy says you can't feel anything." But I think you can. So I want you to stay warm. I wanted to cry. If only she knew how much I felt. Every word. Every tear. Every lie. She leaned in close and whispered, I love you, Daddy. I miss you every day. Please come back. Please don't leave me. Her voice cracked. And in that moment, something lit up inside me. A fire I thought was long gone. I realized I couldn't give up. Not for her. Not for my son. Not for the woman who betrayed me. But for the children who still saw me as their hero. I felt a tear escape my eye. The nurse saw it. She rushed out to get the doctor. That was the first sign. The first proof that maybe I was coming back. Day 12. I opened my eyes. It felt like waking up in another world. One where nothing was the same. Where trust had been shattered, but love still existed, in the eyes of my children. My wife was there. Pale. Shaken. She leaned over me and whispered, You're awake. Oh my God, you're really awake. I didn't respond at first. Not with words. But when I finally spoke, I said just one sentence. I heard everything. Her face changed. Panic. Denial. She stuttered something about grief, about confusion, about being scared. But I didn't argue. I just closed my eyes again and thought to myself, the man who went into that coma died. The man who woke up will never be the same again. The day my daughter whispered, Please don't leave me. Something changed inside me. Until that moment, I had been sinking, drifting in a sea of sorrow, betrayal, and silent heartbreak. I had accepted my powerlessness. I had started to believe maybe my wife was right. Maybe it would be easier for everyone if I didn't wake up. But my daughter's voice cut through all of that. It was like a beam of light in the darkest part of my mind. Her love, it wasn't just words. It was raw, pure, and undeservedly kind. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't hiding behind guilt. She wasn't hoping I wouldn't wake up. She was just a little girl begging for her father to return. I clung to that voice. I let it pull me back from the edge. I started fighting. Not physically, my body was still paralyzed. But mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I began clawing my way up from the deep. I had no idea how long it would take. But I made myself a promise. If I ever opened my eyes again, I wouldn't waste another second living in the shadows of someone else's lies. Later that day, I heard her again, my wife. She came into the room, as usual. But her voice wasn't the same. It was nervous. Frantic. She was talking on the phone to someone. I could barely make it out. But the name, Mark, kept slipping through. No, I can't leave right now, she whispered. The nurse saw a tear. They think he might be waking up. Silence. Then, I know what we talked about. But if he wakes up, everything changes. You don't understand what's at stake. Another pause. Then her voice dropped even lower. No, I'm not going to tell him about us. Are you crazy? I'll handle it. I just need time. That was the moment the final puzzle piece fell into place. They hadn't just drifted together. It wasn't just emotional support. They were having an affair. While I lay dying, they were planning a life without me. A fire lit inside my chest. Not rage. Not even hate. Something deeper, resolve. I realized I had spent years convincing myself we were happy. Ignoring the signs. Explaining away the emotional distance. Making excuses for why she never touched me the same way anymore. Why she always seemed tired, distracted, resentful. And now, hearing her voice, trembling not with worry but fear. Fear that I might wake up and ruin her plans. It broke something inside me. Not my heart. No, that had already been crushed. It broke my illusion. And with that, I started to wake up. The next morning, I heard chaos. Footsteps. Nurses. Monitors beeping. I felt a shift. A crack in the wall that had held me captive for 12 days. My fingers twitched. My lips trembled. And finally, painfully, my eyelids fluttered open. Light blinded me. Everything was blurry, disorienting. But I saw movement. Voices turned to gasps. And then I heard someone cry out, "He's awake!" It felt surreal. Like surfacing from the bottom of an ocean with no air left in your lungs. Only to discover you're still alive. My vision cleared slowly. And the first face I saw was hers. My wife stood over me, eyes wide, mouth parted. A flood of fake relief washed over her expression. She clutched my hand and said, "Oh my God, you're back, you're really back." I didn't say anything. Not yet. I watched her closely. Every blink. Every breath. And then she started crying, but they weren't the kind of tears that come from love. They were panicked tears. Tears of someone watching their lie unravel before their eyes. She started rambling. "The doctors didn't think you'd wake up. I was so scared. I prayed every night." But I just looked at her. And when I finally spoke, my voice came out dry, broken, but clear enough. I heard everything. The blood drained from her face. It was like I had slapped her without moving a muscle. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. She didn't know what I meant, or maybe she did, and was just hoping I didn't mean what she feared. I repeated it. Softer but sharper. I heard everything. Every word. Every whisper. Every time you said his name. Every time you wished I wouldn't wake up. Silence. Just the beeping of the heart monitor, and her breath catching in her throat. She tried to recover. "I didn't mean it like that. You have to understand, I was scared, I was broken." But I stopped her with one look. A look that said, "Don't lie to me." "Not now." The nurse stepped in then. She checked my vitals, called the doctor, and gently asked her to wait outside. I was glad. I needed space. Not to think. I had done enough of that while lying helpless. I needed space to feel. To grieve. To breathe as a new man, one who wasn't naive anymore. Over the next few days, I began to recover. Physically, I was still weak. My muscles barely worked. But mentally, emotionally, I had never been more awake. She came back, of course. Every day. With flowers. With guilt. With stories. With denials. She kept asking if I was sure I heard what I think I heard. Said she was just venting. That she never meant it. That I had misunderstood everything. But I had nothing left to say to her. What do you say to the woman who sat beside your hospital bed and whispered to another man that she hoped you never came back? A week later, I asked to see my daughter. When she walked into the room, her smile lit up everything. She ran to my side, hugged me gently, and said, "I knew you'd come back." I cried. For the first time since waking up. I allowed myself to cry. Not for the betrayal. Not for the lies. But for the love I still had. The love that had saved me. Her love. She was the reason I came back. Not my wife. Not some miracle. Not the machines. Her. That small voice. That soft whisper. That warmth I felt when I thought everything was lost. I didn't confront Mark. Not yet. I didn't need to. Some betrayals don't deserve confrontation. They deserve distance. I focused on getting better. Stronger. So I could be the father my children deserved. I began therapy. I started planning a future where I was no longer begging to be loved. Where I didn't have to wonder if my partner was pretending. I wasn't seeking revenge. I wasn't trying to hurt her back. I was simply reclaiming my life. Looking back, I don't know what hurts more. The fact that she betrayed me. Or the fact that she did it when I was at my weakest. When I was hanging between life and death. But life has a strange way of revealing truth in silence. They thought I couldn't hear. That I was too far gone. But the truth found me anyway. And once you hear it. Once you truly see what someone is when no one is watching. You can never unhear it. Waking up didn't fix everything. It didn't erase the betrayal, or suddenly bring clarity to all the broken pieces of my life. But it gave me something else, perspective. For so long, I lived trying to keep everything together. The marriage, the home, the image of happiness. Even when I felt it slipping away, I held on tighter. Because I believed love meant endurance. That if I just tried harder, I'd matter more. But lying in that bed, listening to the woman I trusted more than anyone confess her truths in whispers, I realized. You can't fight for someone who's already let go. And maybe she had let go long before my coma. Maybe I just never wanted to see it. What I do know is this. The man who opened his eyes that morning wasn't the same man who closed them 12 days earlier. That man was in denial. This man, me, is wide awake now. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, internally. I no longer chase love that hides behind pity. I no longer beg for loyalty from people who trade secrets in silence. I live for my children, for the people who held my hand when I couldn't hold theirs. And I've learned that sometimes the truth doesn't scream. It whispers, softly, when you're not supposed to hear it. But if you do, don't ignore it. Because in those quiet, painful truths, you'll find who really stands with you. And who is just sitting there, waiting for the plug to be pulled. And that realization? It doesn't break you. It sets you free.